Yeah, that needed changing, didn't it? Hello, welcome to the video. This is a Stiga Park120 ride-on mower. I've done a few videos on it before on changing the tyres and on servicing it. I took the cover off it today. It's been a little bit neglected, unfortunately, but I took the cover off it today to do an oil change. Strictly speaking, you don't have to take the cover off to do the oil change actually, but I like to, and I'm glad I did, because one of the fuel hoses isn't looking too clever. I'll expand on what I mean by that in a moment. So today's job is to change that fuel hose, and I'm also going to change the fuel filter as well. So let's just have a bit more of a look at the hoses. This one's absolutely fine, and so it would be very easy to look at that one and say, oh yeah, the fuel hoses are fine, and not go any further. I mean, this one's not cracking or anything at all. This is the one that feeds it the float bowl on the carburetor, goes up to the pump, and then this is the one that we're concerned about. Yeah, I know it's quite claggy, but that bit looks okay. But then if we come down here, I'm hoping you can see that the pipe's mucky, but there's a section that I've cleaned, and it's quite perished, isn't it? It's always hard to know how deep they go, but I'm not really happy to carry on using it, especially as these hoses are completely concealed once the cover's back on, so it's not that easy to keep a close eye on them. So I'm going to change this one. So this is what I'm going to be replacing it with. I've got a new filter there, and then I've got this reinforced hose, which is overkill for a lawnmower, but I've deliberately chosen something a bit more chunky in the hope that it will withstand the heat that it's exposed to down in that quite confined space, and hopefully last a bit longer. This is 6mm internal diameter, or 1/4 inch. Okay, let's get started. So we've got a fuel tap down here. Don't know if the hose is going to be able to reach to get it into the petrol can, or whether I am going to need, I might get the funnel now actually. I decided to go for a jug rather than a funnel, thought it might be easier. The hose I've got is slightly thicker, so we're probably going to need some different clips. Hopefully I've got some suitable ones. You know, let's be fancy and get some rag as well, shall we? Okay. Let me tuck you under there. Oh gosh, that's bad. Well, my patience only goes so far, and so what I've decided to do instead, rather than wait for all the fuel to drain out this way, is to just draw the hose, take the filter off and draw the hose back through. You can see this hose here is cracking as well. This hose is a thicker hose anyway. I hadn't actually spotted that before, so it looks like it may have been specified with the increased heat in mind, but whatever it was, it hasn't fared too well. I'm just lifting the hose up round here to get as much fuel out of the hose as I can. going to keep that bit safe and out of the way because this is the post filter section, so we want to keep that bit nice and clean. Okay, so let's remove the tank. It's partly supported by the fact that the filling neck goes through the body shell, if we're calling it that, but it's also got these Torx screws in here. What was that? T15, which looks like they go through the bottom of the tank. Well, not literally through it, but through the plastic, solid plastic section at the bottom of the tank. We'll just take those out. Yes. Okay, so now hopefully we'll be able to remove the tank. And if I keep it as low as I can, and hopefully that will minimise the fuel loss. A little bit came out, but not too much. Looks like that was a good opportunity to get some muck out of the tank, as you'll see from the bottom of this jug. And let's have a better look at this hose. Yeah, that needed changing, didn't it? It's pretty much all the way along. That's the bit that I could see when I was looking down in the gap I showed you earlier on in the video. Okay, let's get that tank cleaned and then get this changed. I said before I didn't think these clips were going to fit, but actually they're 12mm clips. I think they might. I'm not completely sure, but let's see. Just trying to put the hose on so its natural curve takes it the way I want it to go. Look at that, they do fit. I'm going to put some tape over the other end of this just so that it doesn't pick up a load of muck as I'm feeding it through. So now I'm just going to swap the filter over, trying to make sure I get it the same way round. And look at that, I even remembered to put the other hose clip on before connecting it up. Now that doesn't always happen. Hopefully I'm not the only one. That really doesn't want to go. I'll just put a tiny bit of petrol on to see if that makes it go on any easier. There we go. It's a bit more difficult to get to this when that's on, but it also stops, you know, reduces the chance of any muck going in there. So I decided to do that one first. That one didn't look like it was quite on properly either, so I thought we'd do that one while we're there. Right, put these two screws back in and then hopefully we'll be able to fill up and admire our handiwork. I've deliberately filled it right to the top, so there's as much pressure, I suppose, on the new hose as possible, so I can just test it. Okay, so let's switch on and see what happens. Just have a little sense check that we've got everything connected up. Yes, we have. Okay, let's start it up, see if it's all right. Okay, so no leaks, it all runs fine, it's all back together. That hose was in really bad shape, so I'm really glad I spotted it and changed it. Hope you found the video helpful, interesting, useful, etc. If you service your own mower and you've got one of these, then do have a look at that hose, because it looks like it's gone bad quite quickly, much more quickly than the others, so well worth replacing. Thanks very much for joining me. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll look forward to seeing you again for the next one. Bye for now.